Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Fred Durst from WhatCulture, and coming up today, Heath Slater is back in WWE. He returned on last night's episode of Raw. Vince McMahon may have turned down a pay rise for one of WWE's biggest names. And on top of all of that, the new WWE United States Championship belt was unveiled, and MVP thinks he's the champion. Weird.
Plus, Vince McMahon stopped a major title change from happening at WrestleMania. More cases of the ongoing global bastard in WWE. And an updated card for the horror show at Extreme Rules to tell you about. This is the news.
I'm not actually Fred Durst, I'm actually John Otto, well known for taking it to the Matthews Bridge. Anyway, speaking of the Matthews Bridge, let's talk about Heath Slater. He made an unexpected return on last night's WWE Raw. It was interesting. Didn't see this coming. So there was an in-ring segment to start the show. It was Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler going, I'm going to name a stipulation, then I'm going to name a stipulation. They're both Scottish, apparently. Slater was brought out. He had a free agent t-shirt on. He cut a cool little promo about Drew, saying, when you got released in 2014, I was there for you, man. Where were you for me? You didn't help me get my job back, all this stuff. They were free MB stablemates, of course. This led to a quick match between the two. It lasted just like 30 seconds. Quick and simple. Drew put his mate away in like 30 seconds. It was clear from the way it was presented that it wasn't something he wanted to do, but the Claymore ended Slater's night. But then there was, Dolph berated Slater after this. You didn't get the job done, that kind of vibe. Drew saved the day. He had a big hug with Heath, the big pose. They did the free MB thing. It was a nice little moment for a guy who was let go from the company on 15th of April. It was part of the Black Wednesday releases, of course. Interesting move, given that Slater recently teased jumping to Impact. He tweeted out a sneaky little video with the 18th of July listed. That is the date of the Slammiversary pay-per-view for Impact, of course. So lots of interesting stuff going on there. There's no word on whether or not Slater has actually re-signed with WWE. Well, hopefully we'll have clarification on that later in the day. Either way, I think it was an effective little angle to start the show, and it's certainly got people talking.
Yeah, great to see Heath Slater again. Any callbacks to 3MB are all good in my book. I'm slightly concerned now the stipulation is going to be some sort of 3MB. Maybe Jinder Mahal's going to be involved. Oh, can you imagine Jinder Mahal being involved at the horror show at Extreme Rules or whatever they decide to call it next week. But yeah, lovely to see him again, and genuinely surprised he didn't end it by going, see you Slammiversary, everyone, because I think that's where we all think and hope he is heading. But I've got to give credit to WWE, as much as actually I don't want to, because they are using their own firings as part of a storyline. I still thought this was pretty effective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Heath. If he got a nice little payday, cool, perfect. But, if you remove all the external stuff, which is kind of impossible, but if you want to do that and view this in a bubble, like as a storytelling device, it's really good stuff. So, there's two sides to it.
Exactly. Plus, he's looking good and cutting a mean promo as well. Excited to see what he does at Slammiversary and in Impact Wrestling, if that is indeed where he ends up. Right, some more depressing news to tell you about surrounding Shayna Baszler. We've sort of alluded to this in podcasts and on the news over the past few days and weeks with sort of rumours circulating about it. But you remember that title match she had with Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 36, where everyone, including me, put their house on Shayna Baszler winning the title because it made the most sense. Nice sort of year of Becky Lynch, and then passing the torch on. Then you can have because Becky Lynch had become a bit of a cocky prick in all of this. Yeah, well, that was going to happen. Shayna Baszler was going to become Raw Women's Champion at WrestleMania 36 until, guess who? Vince McMahon put his foot down and decided he didn't want that to happen. This is according to a new report from Fightful Select. The maddest part of all this, even madder than not putting the title on someone who you'd already pulled the rug out from underneath by not having her win the Royal Rumble, despite the fact that that's what everyone kind of wanted to happen, is the reasoning why this didn't happen. Why they didn't put the title on the hottest act to come out of NXT quite possibly ever. I know some people aren't fans of her, but talk about how good she looked and how good she looked after the Elimination Chamber in particular. To then have her just lose was kind of rubbish. But anyway, the reason why it didn't happen, Vince McMahon thought the title change wouldn't resonate without a live crowd. This across the same weekend where the two men's world titles did change hands without a live crowd, Andy.
Vince, he's the most inconsistent man in the universe. This is mental stuff, isn't it? Absolutely insane. You know, we've heard little snippets from Becky in interviews campaigning for the title change and WWE changing their mind or not going for it or whatever. Just bizarre, banana stuff to me. Doesn't make any goddamn sense. But not a lot of what Vince McMahon does make sense, so it's often silly to analyze it from a logical standpoint because he's an inherently illogical man. No, I don't understand this at all. He's just not a Shayna Baszler fan, is she? She was on bloody main event tapings the other week, and she's going to be on that show now, so...
What?
Yeah, like, the opponent hasn't been revealed, but I think it was a PW Insider or a Pro Wrestling Sheet report says, yeah, she's taping main event matches now, so maybe we'll see that this week. She'll, I'm sure, have a great 3-minute match with Dana Brooke or whoever. Dismal! This sucks!
Me and Hamlet did a podcast yesterday about overlooked stars in WWE, which is well worth checking out. WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, you know the deal. And I said, well, hopefully, you know, there's all these reports about Creative having nothing for her and Vince not exactly being hot on her. But hopefully this is all kind of rumours and shenanigans so that when she comes in immediately post SummerSlam, when Asuka has dealt with hopefully Sasha at Extreme Rules and then presumably Nia at SummerSlam, you have a red hot fuse going forward, potentially, you know, leading to Shayna or Bianca Belair winning the Rumble and leading to a brilliant match at WrestleMania with Asuka. I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure now.
Yeah. Because
Vince hasn't got a bloody clue, has he?
I feel like this Shayna Baszler run is now going to play out like the Mickie James run before her serious injury last year, and she's just going to pop up every now and then as like a veteran who just kind of jobs to the stars away. It sucks. Like, a lot of people are big fans of Shayna Baszler's act, and the thing is, she's like 40 years old, right? So if you're going to push her, you kind of have to do it now. You can't really wait around. There's, you know, I've just kind of ran out of ways to say this sucks.
If only they had another former MMA star who, you know, is circling around the title picture, like on the men's side of things, that she could try and look to emulate. I don't know. That kind of seemed to work pretty well for them then, even if that person couldn't really talk and, well, he could, but they still gave him a mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Just a thought. I mean, Paul Heyman isn't bloody busy right now, is he?
No, exactly.
For Christ's sake, push Shayna Baszler, she's great!
Vince is dumb. Speaking of Vince being weird, let's oh god. Rey Mysterio was recently denied a pay rise, apparently, by the big man of WWE. This is a new report from the Wrestling Observer, saying that Mysterio has actually been working on a show-by-show basis as a freelancer for months now. His contract expired months ago. Part of this was he was trying to negotiate for a pay rise with Vince, but Vince, he said no. Apparently, Vince told Rey that he had to look at the situation, obviously referring to the ongoing global health crisis and the financial strains and the talent cuts and all that stuff. But there's also the standpoint of the company not wanting Mysterio to go elsewhere and get a potentially lucrative contract with another promotion. So there's a balancing act that they're working on there. You know, not a huge surprise to learn that Vince has turned down a pay rise for Rey. We've had several reports stating that WWE aren't offering like big money contracts at the moment because they're trying to cut costs. This is, you know, reflective of just everything that's going on in the company. They're still forecast to make a considerable record-breaking profit, in fact, this year, even if they run no more shows without a single fan in attendance. So to me, it's kind of hard to take stuff like this at face value from the company. They're just big greedy men who like swimming around in massive vats of money. It's the way of the world. I still think Ray will resign. Yeah,
I still think he will. It annoys me when you find out stuff about this. Like, I know we reported yesterday and I said it kind of makes sense. Like, it's a gentleman's agreement, blah, blah, blah. But I feel sometimes the more I hear about these things, they are relying upon the fact of, well, your son's working with us, so if you do try and go elsewhere, we'll destroy his career. I feel like they're leaning on that a little bit too much. And like you say, they are set to make record profits regardless this year.
Yeah.
Help him out. Maybe just, you know, because at the end of the day, if he went somewhere else, you'd be like, oh, well, how could he do this to us? But if you turn around to him after, let's say, Extreme Rules and go, yep, that's all we've got for you, mate. See you later. like you'll in your head be completely justified. It just doesn't add up to me.
Yes, it's a weird company ran by weird men.
Speaking of the ongoing global bastard, though,
that's how you say it.
Yeah, apparently 40 positive cases now being confirmed within WWE, per a new report from the Wrestling Observer and Figure 4 Online's Josh Nason. We reported, of course, on the couple of dozen a while back. Then that went up to around 30 prior to the company's last set of television tapings. It's gone up higher. They've conducted apparently 1,500 individual tests. But the thing is, this information is kind of a week old, so there could be even more cases. Obviously, shutting the stable door after the horses bolted, WWE has finally told everyone they need to wear masks, except for Nikki Cross when she goes into the crowd at the end of last night's show. Okay. I mean, no surprise here, Andy, really, is there?
No, I mean, this is an outbreak. It's what it is in WWE. It's an outbreak. 40 independent contractors testing positive. The thing that really annoys me about all of this stuff, right, is things like Nikki Cross last night in the crowd without the mask, and like the Street Profits going through the crowd for their entrance at the previous tapings. What the hell is going on here? Like, you introduce these measures and then you seemingly go against them straight away. It's like, despite everything, there's still an element that this company is not taking this anywhere nearly as seriously as it could. And let's not forget, this is all going down in a state where 11,000 or 10,000 or whatever people are testing positive daily. It's mind-blowing to me that things like this are still happening. But I wouldn't be surprised if that number had increased by the next time we're sitting here on a video reporting it.
Tomorrow, basically.
Tomorrow morning, see you then. Let's talk about the new United States title. This was unveiled on last night's Raw. There was a report before the show from WrestleVotes, as well as one from Sean Ross Sapp, stating that there's going to be a new US title. It's going to be clean yet prestigious. It was unveiled in a segment with MVP and Bob Lashley. Apollo Crews, who's the actual champion, wasn't there. But MVP is declaring himself the champion now because he defeated Apollo in a non-title match. But yeah, the belt was unveiled. Little drum roll gimmick, little pull the cloth towel napkin thing away. And there's the belt. It's got the word champion right across the middle, just in case you had any doubts that the person who holds the belt is indeed a champion. Mixed responses, I think it's safe to say so far. In fact, you've got a little stat that you can reveal to that, I believe.
Yes, indeed. I myself had mixed emotions. I initially went, ugh, and then I looked closer. I've seen the photos, and I do like it a little bit more now I've seen the photos of it. I'm not going to pay 350 quid on WWE shop like they are advertising. And someone noted, when you look at it far away, it looks like the eagle got a boobies. So I can't unsee that. But I put a little vote up on my Twitter at Adam Wilborn. It's going to be there for the rest of today. Is the new United States Championship ass or class? Right now, 53% say class and 47% say ass. But hey, if you're team ass, get yourself on Twitter.
Billy McGunn. Billy McGunn. Totally flubbed that up. Let's move on.
Okay, I'm Billy McGunn.
That's offensive, but never mind.
It's fine. Speaking of Scottish people, Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, that's a match at the horror show, Extreme Rules Horror Show, whatever they're bloody called. Say the word horror a few more times.
Swamp
WWE.
Fight.
Yeah, indeed. I will give you an updated card now for Extreme Rules after last night's show. There is going to be a United States Championship match, Apollo Crews versus MVP. And as we reported yesterday, an eye for an eye match as stipulated by Rey Mysterio. Yep, the babyface in all this. An eye for an eye match between Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins.
Oh,
and Andy, if you don't mind, I'd just like to take this moment to do a quick, sincere apology. Yesterday, I made a joke about an eye for an eye match. I said Rey Mysterio was Mr. 619, and I made a joke about Seth Rollins. And all of you pointed out my blatantly obvious mistake that I missed the chance, and I will never, ever fully recover from this. I missed the chance to call Seth Rollins the Monday Night Messiah. So I can only apologise to you guys, to my friends, to my family, to my wife, and most importantly to you, Andy Murray, I've let everyone down and I'll try and learn from this.
Yeah, a terrible grave error, but part of the recovery process is admitting you're wrong and taking steps forward from there. This is a nice little card actually for the Extreme Horror Show at Extreme Rules 2020, the Horror Show Roadblock End of the Line 2020. The name is ridiculous, and there are, the swamp fight is either going to be your favorite thing ever or your least favorite thing ever. I think it's going to be my favorite thing ever because I love that bollocks. But if you look at the pure singles matches, Asuka versus Sasha, these things are ridiculous. So I'm looking forward to a good ass pay-per-view, Adam Wilborn.
Yeah. Week on Sunday. We will, of course, be doing live stream reactions for that. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. Of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Freshly Squeezed on Twitter, who says, with the Horror Show Extreme Rules coming up and some lackluster build to the show aside from Asuka versus Banks, do you think WWE could benefit from a bi-monthly pay-per-view schedule? Could preserve what is left of the Big Four appeal. Yeah, me and Sidge were talking about this yesterday. I can't help but feel that WWE have sort of booked themselves into a corner here, and it strikes me that with like the WWE and Universal Championship matches, they are just killing time until they can get to the proper matches at SummerSlam.
So I think that this raises a good point. However, I think I would go with an alternative solution personally. So the problem I would have with going with biannual pay-per-views is that it means there's even fewer slots available for roster members to make it onto pay-per-view, unless you're going to do like an 8-hour show, and nobody wants a goddamn 8-hour show. So for me, the solution is you just cycle your roster a little bit better and you keep going with the monthly pay-per-views, but you don't have the same people on them over and over again, and you bring people up for non-title feuds and various other things. Maybe you try headlining a couple of pay-per-views a year with the Raw Women's title, the SmackDown Women's title, the Intercontinental title, whatever. You just cycle it a little bit better, and that way people don't miss out on their pay-per-view paydays and stuff. However, I think the core point that myself and this commentator are trying to make is the exact same thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we talk about this all the time, but just long-term storytelling is what will sell pay-per-views. As much as, yes, we do see bumps when you just randomly chuck Goldberg on a card, and no doubt people will still pay to watch the WWE Championship be defended almost regardless of who else is defending it. But if you said from now, right, okay, at next year's, I don't know, let's say Money in the Bank pay-per-view, we want to have we can dream. The Tag Team Championships headline that show. Let's build a story to complete, to crescendo at Money in the Bank. Then that'd be a far better way of doing it than just being like, oh, bollocks, what have we got for the WWE Champion every month or so? I think you're right. But yeah, there's got to be some sort of solution, because can't help but feel they're just spinning the wheels until they can get to, I don't know, Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre and The Fiend versus Braun Strowman. That strikes me where they're going.
Yeah.
Second question today comes from Biznap2011 on Twitter, who says, is it just me, or is Randy Orton more engaged because he hates people in general and likes the empty arena era?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good possibility. Maybe he's just there like, hey, I don't have to play up to 10,000 people every week and I hate these folks. I think he's just struck upon a really rich vein of form as well. He was doing some really great stuff between the Royal Rumble and the kind of shutdown as well. So, it's just kind of carried over from there, but it's definitely been enhanced in the past few weeks. And Randy Orton strikes me as a guy who just wants to be left alone a lot of the time. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he was showing up for work like, hey, there's no one here. Great.
It's just a cycle, isn't it? It's just like, has crap match, everyone assumes he's done and suggests that he should never be in the main event scene. Reinvents himself / does something horrible, says something heinous. Everyone thinks he's mint. So unfortunately, we might be heading towards has a crap match again. But yeah, who knows? It's with the Big Show, probably.
Hey, he looked very slow on Raw, so I'm sure that'll be good.
Yeah, let's move on to the final question of today from Electric Wooloo Palooza on Twitter, great name, who says, if you could cast your own version of WWE Legends House, but cast it with a mix of legends and current wrestlers from any promotion, who would you cast and why?
Jesus. All right. Gangrel in his gimmick only. Only in his gimmick. That'd be amazing.
I'll just chuck a couple in. Obviously, Titus and the Iconics have to be in there.
Standard.
Yeah.
Bob Holly, because you give him the belt and he'll beat everybody. Ole Anderson, because he hates everything and everyone, and I think that'd be good television, just shooting on people.
Bob Backlund, because I've interviewed him and he's proper bonkers.
Yeah, Bob Backlund's got to be in the conversation. Ooh, who else have we got? Haku, because he'll keep everyone in line, as we learned.
What are you doing to people here?
As we learned in New... I've just named a bunch of hard men, haven't I?
Yeah.
Like, who's
Let's
that?
have, what's his name? Toru Yano. He always seems to be
Yano,
fun.
yeah, doing roll-ups for some reason. Chuck Taylor and Trent, because they're great value on Twitter. That'd be good.
Can I have Jim Duggan in there? Because he's just a lovely bloke who apparently, as you remember, loves Swindon here in the UK. So, yeah, I'll not hear a bad word said against Jim Duggan. Oh!
That's
one
of my favourite random facts. You know, it's up there with Slash from Guns N' Roses being born in bloody Slough or Stoke, wherever it was. What the hell? Anyway, yeah, that's our lineup.
We're going to chuck in Mike Yoda. We have to put him in there.
Fair play.
And, I mean, if we can, Simon Miller, obviously.
Obvious, yeah.
There you go. Let us know any other ones you want to see in our random legends house in the comment section. We'll move on to today's, and finally, just Asuka killing it on Twitter again, basically. She posted a brief video that she, a clip of Monday Night Raw from last night where she danced around and said, "You thought I'd come alone," ahead of Kairi Sane, of course, returning. I have no idea what's going on with Kairi Sane anymore. Thought she left. Obviously, things have been taped. Then I've got a title match next week. Anyway, so she tweeted a video of her dancing around and doing that, and Edward Willis responded saying she's the greatest dancer, to which Asuka responded, "More than John Travolta." She's so good on Twitter. If you're not following Asuka, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Get on it.
Do you remember the era when, the counter argument for like pushing Asuka on the main roster was she can't cut 20-minute promos? I think like the past few months show that was never necessary.
Yeah, absolutely not. Right, let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and the Dadley Boys reviewing Monday Night Raw a little bit later on today. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Harambe. Miss you, big man.
Oh, what a legend. Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. And make sure you join us live here on YouTube at 4 p.m. to answer your WWE questions. We'll go into more detail, no doubt, on whether the United States Championship is ass or class. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.